How's it going?
Happy Saturday. Hopefully, or whatever day you're listening. We do this every time.
Happy day. For us, it's a Tuesday. The Tuesday of the 1975. And I'm Eliz.
I'm Lilyemma.
So welcome back to Blonde Vibrations.
This is Champagne Whispers, episode 17.
This is called, everyone, take this with a pinch of salt, boring, dependent, seeking external validation, ?
External validation is so Blonde Vibrations.
Yes, but it's not based on that, I swear. We have another few little situations, scenarios, and we're going to have a candid discussion about it.
Discussion. 2 words that I've never heard used to describe Blonde Vibrations, but I suppose it does kind of fit.
All we ever do is candid discussions. It's very not unfiltered as in very not PG, but just very what we think we say.
Yeah.
No, we've tried, because these ones are a bit sensitive topics.
Sore topics.
Yeah, it could really change how you feel about yourself. So we're not going to be you're in the wrong. Full stop.
But we would tell you if you were in the wrong. If you wrote in and was I am dating my best friend's boyfriend of 10 years.
Because I can.
Just because I don't like her anymore. We would be maybe reevaluate.
But then you'd be why don't you like her? What did she do to you?
Yeah, and then
what if she did something horrible?
We would sympathise. I feel we always mention her, but do you know that Dolly ordered an article where she's in order to be a good agony aunt, you have to sympathise and actually see it from their perspective.
Yeah.
And then
see both sides actually now.
Yeah, we say that way too often.
Well, that's kind of the tagline.
Doesn't make sense.
If you're watching us on YouTube, we're actually very coordinated.
We're doing well with coordinating outfits on the show.
We weren't until I changed.
No, yeah, but I feel we've got a good considering we post the reels on Instagram, you can really see the outfits we've worn throughout the time, and I feel we have matched, if not contrasted. We're never in clashing, but I suppose it's because we wear similar things.
Also, and this is just if you have ever gone on our Instagram, just particularly the reel section, I realised something and I showed you, and currently it's there twice. Because and I don't know if I'm going to explain this very well, because we post reels, but a few of them in a row will be from the same episode, so in theory it's the same setup frame but split into 2, and the way we do the thumbnail is so that it's not all you, for instance, so it'll be one me, one you, one me, one you, so at some point during those 3 run it will go me, you, me, or you, me, you. And then when you go onto the Instagram reel section, you can see this exact frame that you would be able to see right now.
Sometimes we just place it quite right. I think it's when we're maybe a bit further away from each other, so then there's a clean split. When you're cutting it into portrait, it works. I think sometimes a bit too close, it looks a bit jiggly. It looks like we're
I don't know if we've ever delved into the me being on your side of the frame.
No,
we never have.
Recorded here, I don't think we have. We have previously. Ever since you recorded here.
Look, it is so strange.
Oh, what you mean? Just entering my side? I thought you meant sitting the wrong way around.
No, we have very set. Even if we're gonna talk, and it's again, this is just deeping it for no reason, but we stay within our personal space.
Yeah.
But there is no reason why I literally could not just pour my hand over to you here. Do you know what I mean? Meet you more than halfway.
Yeah.
This is her here. It's just weird, isn't it? Or there's no reason why you'd ever put your arm around me. Oh, look how weird that looks. That is.
It's almost we normally record on Zoom, and we're oh my gosh, guys, we're next to each other.
If you thought about it so much, you could even argue that because there's always a slight gap as well. It really is just, yeah.
Editor Becky works overtime to get us Photoshop. Blonde Vibrations have never been in the same room together.
One more thing to say before we get into it, and this is regarding Editor Becky, and she won't mind me saying this. So in one of our previous, I don't know the context, put my hands up, we spoke about if we were to place a picture in of a boy version of me, we'd put my brother. And we apparently have different views as to which of my brothers I look the most like.
As in me and you, or Becky and
me
us?
And you to Becky,
yeah.
Because she told me yesterday, only upon meeting one of my brothers, like, I was going to pick a different one. I went to go put a picture in of that brother.
Your brother in.
And she was like, no, that's weird. And I was like, that's so funny. Like, that is really funny.
Wow, that's so
but a different brother.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
As in...
Just a different brother to what we think is the
Which
male
one was
version
she
of me.
thinking?
The middle one.
Yeah, I thought so. I was like, surely got the eldest. Like, you're not that ginger.
I used to think I looked the most like him. It's really a discussion for another time.
Like,
but
also,
I just
you
think
guys
that's
actually
funny.
can't take part in this conversation because you guys don't know what her brothers look like. But there is the one closest in age to you is literally your face on a boy.
But apparently not.
But did she see it when she met him? Or, like, saw him?
I guess. I don't know, but she didn't meet the other one.
She's gonna, like, put, like, text me, like, no, they don't. Like, editor Becky taking over, like, they are incorrect.
I'm surprised they are even related.
Like, I'm starting to think Eliz may be adopted.
Anyway, right. We'll go on to the first one. I feel like that's what we do with these episodes. We have our little, like, ramble, and then it's like, okay.
Right, like,
anything
back
else?
on track.
Yeah, anything else we need to get off our chest right now? No. So the first topic is, well, dilemma, I suppose. I have no opinions or fun facts to offer. Am I boring?
I'm so sorry. I was, like, laughing as you were saying it, but it was just, like, the, like, dramatic presenting. I'm not laughing at the person. But, like, you were there and I was there, like...
I'm gonna put it straight out there straight away, and let's not self-deprecate by calling yourself boring. I've said that's not helpful. Even if you are, at the end of this discussion, we've come to the conclusion you are boring.
Yeah.
Let's reframe it, and it's, can I work on this instead? It's like this video that we were discussing last night. You don't have to announce that. You don't have to announce the fact that you feel that way.
Yeah.
And it's not useful to society to call yourself boring.
Yeah, I went down, like, a similar but different route and said, like, I don't understand the phrasing, I have no opinions. Like, surely you have opinions.
I've actually said that.
I don't know, like, I think that is kind of a case of, like, when you're almost, like, seeing things very, like, black and white, like, down in the dumps. I'm so boring, I have no opinions. You have opinions.
Yeah.
Like,
I have said that because it's a real difficult one. Because we are very opinionated as people. I've said, you must have opinions in some sense of the word. They might not be ones that you feel are compatible with the ones around you. Or even, I'll tell my page, are you even discussing things your friends care about, or your friends discussing things you care about? Because, for instance, I put a little scenario
this
together.
is crazy because I put an example for this as well.
If you're married with a kid and all of your friends are still at uni because you just settled down in a different way at a different time, and all they ever talk about is uni life in the clubs they go to in Leeds or whatever, Manchester, you're actually going to feel like you have no opinions, because in that certain, like, case, you have nothing to offer. You've never been to Leeds or whatever. You've never been to those clubs. And so when they're being like, so what do you think the best club is? Like, what do you think I should wear here? You're going to feel like you have no opinions, because for that context, you don't. It doesn't mean you have them full stop, but you just don't.
And even if, like, with fashion...
Yeah.
I feel like that's one that people are normally like, I don't know, I just don't really care about fashion. I don't have any opinions about fashion. And it's like, but you do.
Yeah.
Like, just because you've not got opinions on, like brands and trends, like, you would still have opinions in a case of, like, that's a t-shirt I want to wear, that's a t-shirt I don't like.
It's like
it's actually impossible to have no opinions. Sorry.
It's very like, and I've only seen this film once, so I'm not going to get any wording right, but you know Devil Wears Prada? Yeah, Anne Hathaway was like, I just put this top on seemingly having no opinions. But then what? The Meryl Streep is like, but you chose that, and then by choosing that, there's all
Meryl Streep.
There's like all of these steps beyond,
Yeah.
but like at the end of the day, you picked that because basic, like, synapses are telling you either like something or you don't. You can be neutral about a lot of things, but like the things that you're putting on yourself or you choose to do every day aren't really that neutral.
I agree. I feel like it's very based on the people who you're around. And I think the difficult thing with when you kind of grow up and you select your own friends is that it is actually normal to not be friends with someone purely because you don't share interests. And I think that's something you don't quite appreciate when you're at school or even like when you're at uni, because you see these people all day every day, so you have things in common because you're doing the same things. But then I think when you kind of reach adulthood and you start going down different paths, and like you said, like you could be settled with a family while your friends are doing masters, things like that, that's kind of when it shows, oh, actually, we don't have anything in common. I don't think we're each other's kind of people. And I think that's a really hard topic to grasp, because you kind of start with this idea of if you want to be friends with someone, you can be friends with someone. But that's not actually the case, is that there are many factors in life that mean that you're going to be better suited to be friends with someone and someone not.
Yeah.
And even if you don't share the same interests, like I'm not saying that everyone you're going to be friends with has to have the same opinions on things, but almost like an opinion that you can appreciate something, not like no opinions. So for example, like I could be friends with someone who never went to uni, doesn't read a book, but if I talk about my PhD topic, they're interested in it. Or I could be friends with another PhD student who thinks my topic is really boring and doesn't care about it whatsoever.
Incompatibility of
opinion.
Basically.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes having no opinion is actually better than having a bad opinion, because at least your opinion is like, oh, I'm open to it, like it sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's if you are looking at topics, any topic ever, and you're like, no, like I don't have an opinion and I'm never even going to attempt to get one, then it's like it's not a question of are you boring, but are you just closed-minded? Perhaps.
I feel like it's a case of just being surrounded by the wrong people if they're making you feel boring. Like I don't think any of my genuine friends have ever made me feel boring about anything I've said, and I say some pretty like mundane, boring things.
Well, yeah, sometimes I'm literally like, I will start a sentence, get halfway through and be like, shut up. Like I do that to you all the time. I'm just like, I don't know why I'm saying this, like shut up. And it's like, well, actually in reality it's not a boring thing. No. Even if I feel it, it's probably not. It's just the people around you, like they either get it or they don't type thing, isn't it?
I think if you're getting to the point where you're saying like, I have no opinions, I'm so boring, like somebody help me, there's clearly something wrong with your like friend dynamics, because your friends shouldn't make you feel like that. Like your friends should be excited for things as much as you are, and it appears that's not happening.
Yeah, because I actually said that you don't have to be the most outspoken person in the room. Quiet doesn't mean boring. Socially awkward doesn't mean boring.
Socially awkward
doesn't mean boring. Like even if you're not the conversation starter, point blank, that doesn't make you or like boring as a person. Like it is okay. Some people just offer opinions for the sake of offering opinions or to feel included. So if there's this big pop culture moment that's happened and you just didn't watch it, so you don't care. Some people might just offer their 2 cents for the pure reason of being included in that pop culture moment. So then when you refer back to it, it's like, oh yeah, you said that thing about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't necessarily mean they're the most exciting person. And just because in that situation you didn't have anything to offer, for instance, like the Grammys or something, if someone had like a really like, what's the word, poignant point to make about, like, I don't know, Taylor or whatever, you don't listen to her, so you don't really like, you're like, I don't know, I didn't watch it. That doesn't make you boring, you just have nothing to offer.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like as well, people think to not be boring is to have like fun facts and fun experiences, and I don't think that's true. But I feel like that is, if you think of someone boring, you think of like, oh, I have just like plodded along life, I've not really done any crazy experiences, I've not like gone skydiving, and I've not been arrested on a night out, like do you know what I mean? But I don't think that is the case. I think there's multiple factors that make someone interesting, and I think that also varies from person to person. So for some people, you would be boring if you haven't gone solo travelling, but for other people, they wouldn't care about that, and they would find it more interesting that you've read like every like novel ever. Do you know what I mean?
If
I tried
you've
to
read
think of
every
an author, and I was like, I can't name an author. I was like looking at my bookshelf like
if you've read every novel ever, I can guarantee you're not a boring person.
Yeah, but some people would think that, wouldn't they? Because if someone doesn't read, they'll be like, God, that must be such a boring life that you sit and read every novel ever.
That's what I was gonna say, is if someone just isn't a reader and they're a film person, that's a very clear like distinction, is someone who reads versus someone who just watches the films.
Yeah.
Because they might say the books are boring, but to the person that loves the books and likes the world that it creates before even getting to see it, you get the imagination, you get to fill in the blanks yourself. That's not boring, even if it is to someone else. And on this topic of like fun facts, a lot of people's fun facts aren't that fun. They just say it again for the sake of it. My big fun fact growing up, like even as far as like going to uni, was like, haha, I have 3 dogs and 3 brothers. Everything in my household is like symmetrical. Like that was always it. Is that fun? No, it's just something to offer up. Also,
my fun fact was that I was allergic to dogs, but I had one.
Well, to me, that's not boring.
That's not a fun fact, but it's funny. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not exciting. It's not interesting. That's just kind of like oh, haha.
Yeah, and like some people will also make fun facts up. I personally couldn't, because I'm scared of getting like caught in a lie, but some people just would because they don't care about that kind of thing. They'll embellish or like twist the truth, and if it is, I'm kind of picturing if you're in a scenario where you have to offer fun fact, it probably is like you're starting uni, you're starting a job, is some sort of like team, like a team building activity. Everyone wants to be seen a certain way, and it's one of those situations again where you're like putting your best foot forward. You're not going to say something that you personally think like that's a drag, like no way, I'm not going to say that.
And I also think there's so much pressure on that. Like there's so much pressure on being like, oh my god, like this is what's going to define me. Everyone
wants the wow factor moment, because in that situation everyone wants that fact that when everyone walks away they're like, I remember that fact, like that was funny, like that person, like I kind of want to be there from, but like but then when you deep it, they're never that. It's just like
it's all very surface level interest level.
It would be like, I share the same birthday as Michael Sarah. Like in that moment it's like, wow, really? And it's like, okay,
that actually doesn't give you any depth as a person. I feel like this is what we're saying, is that it's not necessarily having opinions, what you would have, but it's not necessarily having really thought-provoking opinions and being really like intellectually like stimulated. It's like whatever you find interesting, that makes you interesting, because that's how the world works, especially like as like adult humans. It doesn't matter if something's interesting. If someone's like, I'm really into trains, I can look at a train and name it. I'd be like, wow, that's so interesting. Like, I don't have to be interested in trains to find that interesting. Or if someone was like telling me about like the logistics of weather, I'm not interested in what even would that study be.
I think I'm going to say something that's wrong. Meteorology?
Yeah.
Something that's like that?
Yeah, like that means nothing to me. But if you were to tell me about that, that would make you an interesting person, even though it's not interesting to me.
Well, yeah, I keep telling people at work at the minute, I'm like, my little, it could be boring to someone else, but I find it particularly fun, is every day when I'm at work on the evening shift, I will look at the sun graph of when it's the sunset every single day, and they have it set out by month, exactly how long each daytime is, what time the sun rises and what time the sun sets. But that sounds boring. But then I will go into more detail. I'll be like, yeah, it might be at 5:18 today, but if you look directly 2 weeks in advance now, there's going to be another 25 minutes on it. And then once someone will start to listen to these opinions that you have that might be boring, I'm like, yeah, but you know this time next month, like it's going to be a week before the clocks change. and then it's going to be dark at like 7, and it's things people can then relate to because we all want a longer day. Do you know what I mean?
I met a new girl at work yesterday, and you know, like when you're having small talk, and I think we were just like talking about like the weather at the weekend. She went, "This is why I said the weather." She went, "Did you know that when they forecast the weather, I don't know if you're going to know this. This feels like something random you would know." She was like, when they forecast the weather, they have to account for people's reaction to it into the weather because people's behaviour affects the weather. So if everyone said, for example, I can't remember what the example was, but for example, it's going to rain all weekend, everyone would stay inside, and then no one would be like driving around and things like that. So then there wouldn't be as much like stuff in the air to make it rain, which would mean it actually wouldn't rain. So then when they forecast the weather, they account for how much people are going to respond and then account for that onto the weather so that they can then forecast the adjusted weather schedule.
Do you think, and this is like, okay, if you're around people, you can say boring things and then it will build. So maybe it is who you're around, because that, in theory, is not exciting.
No.
But now because we're like compatible as people, I have to ask, do you think they forecasted bad weather? Although it was the middle of summer, do you think they forecasted potentially worse weather on Barbenheimer weekend so people would make less plans outside and think, well, we'll go to the cinema if it's going to be not as good weather?
So they turn it to a
like a marketing thing.
capitalist.
Yeah, because you could, if you knew that something, or you wanted, for instance, the Super Bowl to get all of the views, and then the week after there was something you knew just couldn't compete. What if you said, well, it's going to be torrential rain anyway, and then everyone would be like, oh, we may as well stay in, and you've got like the BAFTAs, so we may as well
weekend. It was supposed to rain all weekend, it just didn't on Sunday.
The camera just cut, but I was saying the BAFTAs are on Sunday, so that's like a good example. Not that I necessarily think the BAFTAs are this weird, like no one wants to watch it. Everyone was watching it. If I had a TV, I'd be watching it.
It was on TV?
Yeah.
Oh.
Florence Pugh was there.
Yeah, I saw.
And the one from Dumping Ground won
yeah.
Rising Star, T. Congratulations, T.
But this is like prime examples of like things that may be mundane to someone. It's like someone listening could be like, guys, shut up and get onto the thing. But I know for a fact that Becky's going to be sat there being like, wow.
Yeah. The people that like us and what we do won't find it boring when we have opinions that might be mundane. I even put, we are so opinionated, no one needs them. We have actually chosen to do all of this. No one is ever forcing us to talk about anything or do this in the slightest. We have chosen to do this because we've just taken it upon ourselves to want to. And maybe that is not cool to you. I hope if you've got this far through, you're finding it kind of cool though, because that's just a bit awkward.
Yeah, if you're sat there being like, oh.
Because I know they say I'll give a film 10 minutes, but if you're like 20 minutes in now and you're like, this is boring, you can click off. Like, that's fine, that's just a side note. But like, if it's just not your kind of thing, cool. Like, that doesn't mean that we're boring. Our opinions aren't opinions. Our fun facts aren't fun facts.
Yeah.
That's just down to your like perception of it.
I agree.
In terms of, if you've reached the point of you've taken all of that in, you're like, no, I am just boring though.
I don't have anything that I find interesting enough that other people will find interesting about me.
I hope that you can turn that around, because like that probably isn't as close to reality as you think it is. Hopefully it is just like the people, or you've just had some bad experiences you can get over. However, if you feel like you actually need to experience things to form opinions, I do just think it is like doing more of what you can to form those experiences.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I put myself in the shoes and I was like, if you really genuinely felt like you had no opinions, what could you do to get opinions? Say you actually have lived a really sheltered life, you don't like what you're doing, you don't like any of your friends, and I think you just need to spend time with yourself and really kind of trial things out, trial out different hobbies, trial out watching YouTube videos about really niche things, see what sticks, see what finds interesting, and don't force it, because then this is why you may be finding yourself boring, is that if you're living this life where you're surrounded by football fans and you've kind of tricked yourself into thinking you like football but you actually don't, and you just feel like you're really boring because you don't have opinions, because you don't care, because you're forcing a hobby or an interest. Whereas if you kind of spend this time with yourself and think like, what actually do I find interesting, that's when these passions, these opinions will organically form rather than forcing interest.
And you might find that once you branch out of, and I know we're putting a lot of like pressure on this, your friends that are the problem, you could, you know, live a very like quiet life to yourself, which like is fine again if you are happy with that, but this is on the basis you're probably not. Watch more, do more, read more. I've said get more informed on politics, culture. The more you see and become educated, you would think naturally some opinions either way would form, because that is just the human way we will look at things and react. You don't have to shout about them. As soon as you start to think like, oh, actually, I actually quite like these clothes, or like this YouTuber, I feel really quite like, I've really enjoyed that. I've just like binge watched them for like 10 hours and I quite like it. Once you start to get these opinions, you don't straight away have to start yelling and being like, I have opinions now. Like,
yeah,
because
there's nothing worse than someone with too many opinions.
Externally, it doesn't really matter, but then at a certain point within yourself, it might mean that you are more equipped for, you know, get a fun fact out of it at some point.
Yeah, like
you can just hold all of these thoughts in until you feel like the scenario comes out. Or for instance, if you've just started painting and you're like, okay, I have some opinions about like artists and stuff, but I'm not really in the space right now. I'm not going to go to my friends who hate art and then just start like spewing these opinions, because on the flip side, you will then start to look boring to some people. However, if you then go to painting society, or you go to an art gallery or some sort of social at a museum or something, then that's when they'll start to come out and you'll be like, oh, okay, you are now conversational weapon potential.
I think it's important to note, just as like a kind of final roundup, when we're saying like have opinions, we're meaning like surface level personal preference. We're not talking about like that's bad, that's boring. I think that's also another key in like being interesting. It's not having opinions in the sense of like this is good and this is bad and this is what I don't like, and this, if you don't like this then you're weird. I think it's a case of being like almost like moldable and flexible with what other people are saying. So if you, let's go down this like art one. If you saw this painting and you were like, I'm not entirely sure if I kind of see what they're saying it represents, and then someone was like, oh, but I actually personally see this, that's not for you to say like, well, actually it's my opinion that I don't see it and it's actually just a circle. It's being able to listen to someone else and kind of take that onto your opinions, and that's how you become like a 3-dimensional,
and just converse and learn from each other.
I think maybe if you're saying you have no opinions, you kind of feel like you don't have any strong opinions, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it might not be like, having strong opinions can be bad in itself because it's like polarizing. But I think it's getting this middle ground where like you can talk about something because you have the opinions, but you're still open to listen to other people, because otherwise you'll just become like a grumpy old like granddad.
I said, like, for my final thought is politics and things that would make you a decent human aside, because I really do think that you should be spending a lot of time, if you know, situations and like actual really deep life things, you really need to be equipped at this point. If you're an adult, like, I don't think you can be, you know, passive about politics and things and think, I just don't have an opinion, that's fine, or like things on, you know, the law and treatment of, you know, women and things like that. I think they're the things you really should have an opinion on. I can't help you if you don't, and I choose not to.
That's something that you need to take time to
you work
like,
on
look
that.
What's going on in the world, learn about it, because you can't just go through life blindly.
But in terms of like the little things, opinions don't matter. Like, you don't have to have something to say on everything in your friendship group. if you are, you know, kind to your friends, you're there for them and you can listen to them and, like, you feel like you're in a safe space and comfortable and, like, you are just happy. Because I said at the end of the day, if you don't know the complete list of, like, Taylor Swift's surprise songs, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you want to, then you can explore it, but, like, you don't have to. If you're happy where you are, that's okay. But there is always room to improve, and I think just the more you do, you'll get there slowly but surely. Because we probably didn't have half the opinions we have now until maybe we moved to London or went to uni, or I don't think you have to do such major life changes, but probably just started reading more, or like you going on different pages of the internet to
or
what you were
meeting
before.
different people who tell you about different things and like introduce you to topics.
Well, so I watched this person online, and she will literally just do like fit checks, but she'll always ask whoever's like near to her to be like, do you want to be in this fit check with me? And then they'll end up just talking. And I feel like face-to-face conversation is really a good thing to start forming opinions on things. And I don't know how, because I think you'd have to be pretty like not introvert, extrovert to do that. I'm not saying you have to go out
and
and
I feel like
talking.
if someone's saying they're like, am I boring? I have no opinions. They probably are quite introverted.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But it'll be like a step-by-step thing. Follow more people that might be interesting to you online, something like that.
Yeah.
And go look out there.
Good luck.
And if you had no opinion on anything, and then you just listen to all of that and you're like, that's wrong, that's an opinion. So it's actually worked.
Yeah.
Like, even if you disagree with all of that, you believe it to be not useful to society, which is an opinion.
Yeah.
Like, congratulations. Like,
Yeah,
you
if
did
you
it.
don't like a food, that's an opinion. Like, you're telling me, like, you don't care about anything enough. You don't even have, like, a preference on where you eat. Like, you've never eaten something and been like, it's not the best burger I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, surely you have.
I don't know. But then
we're so heavily opinionated that...
This is so, I'm not going to attack the gym bros, but sometimes on the food thing, they will just eat what will get the protein in. They don't have an opinion about that. But then you would think in that scenario, they have opinions on the gym.
Yeah.
So then it goes into a routine.
Yeah, and you would still, like, even if you eat what you have to eat for the protein, you still have a preference.
Yeah.
Like, you still have a favourite restaurant just because you're, like... Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think just because they're doing that, they have no opinion on food.
You could really deep anything ever, couldn't you? Like, I
don't
feel
know
like...
if there is anything that I have no opinion on.
I guess, like...
Because it's not if you don't...
Tennis?
But that's because you don't know a lot about tennis.
And I actually quite like tennis. I don't know. I kind of thought something, but I don't mind
anything
it.
that I don't have an opinion on, it's because I don't know enough about it to have an opinion.
But you could...
But if I learned about it, I would then have an opinion. But I don't know enough to form an opinion because I don't have the facts to either which way. Like, I don't know what I'm having opinions on.
And I lied because I enjoy playing tennis.
So why did you just lie?
Because I didn't think about it. Like, I said something
This is what I mean.
felt like far off to me, and then I was like, it's not far off. In lockdown, I'd go play tennis when you're allowed outside. Like, I would do that because I enjoyed it. But had lockdown not occurred...
Yeah, so I could name a random writer and you wouldn't have an opinion. But if you read a couple of their books, you would have an opinion.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, boring. Or I'd be like, wow, I was glued to that
Yeah,
page.
like, you didn't know my dissertation topics.
Yeah.
And then you read it and you found it interesting.
You used to read my essays
Yeah.
and not understand, but be
I
like,
didn't understand-
oh,
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you didn't know every case in, like, bylaw and whatever statute, like, you could still find, like, a basic level of understanding to know that you didn't want to know more. Do you know what I mean? Because if you wanted to, you would, but you chose not to. In that sense, I don't know. Swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Question number 2. Is it okay to want to feel pretty and sexy for other people? Just as a black and white answer, what's your response?
Yes.
Yes! Yes, it's fine. I said yes to an extent.
I think this follows on nicely from the last question. Because the other one was caring about how people perceive you, like, character-wise. Whereas this one is how people physically view you.
I've said that I think we would be lying. Everyone would be lying. Goes for everyone. That every single thing we ever did ever, like, was for ourselves. In an ideal world, yeah, like, of course, we would want to live every day for ourselves, and not caring what we look like. But even like to an extent, well, I'll give you an example of before we recorded. You look like this, really very quite nice. For those who aren't viewing it right now, she's very like made up, like nice. And I was in like a black hoodie, which there is no problem with that, but I came and was like, I've not dressed the occasion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. And then I came back in this. So there was it wasn't a societal pressure and it wasn't from you, but I wanted to look nice for you and for the viewers.
Yeah. I think it's normal to want to be perceived a certain way, and like it's at its like plainest form, that is to want people to like you. Like
Validation.
Yeah, because you're not gonna, very rarely do you present yourself in a way for people not to like you. Like 99% of the time, you will want to be seen in various levels of good.
Yeah, and there's lots of roles to play as to why that might be. Because I've said, like, for us, just being a woman, job roles, social media, all of these things are at play. I don't think it's as simple as going out, people think I look nice. It's like delving into like, oh, my shoulder just did the most horrific click. I'm so sorry if you had that. But it's delving into like,
works, it's on your body.
It's delving into like why we feel that. I've just said beyond it though, it's if it's a want or a need.
Yeah.
Like that is the difference for me, because if it's just a want and not a need, then like there really is no harm, no foul. Like if you genuinely, you're waking up and you're like, you know what? I want to put on some really pretty makeup I perceive as pretty, an outfit I perceive as cute, and I just want to present in a way that I think is attractive. You are allowed to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like over the past maybe like 5 years, there's been a real rise in self-love, but I think it's gone a bit too far, where it kind of makes people feel like they need to be purely self-motivated all the time, where they're not allowed to say anything bad, they're not allowed to comment on anything that they'd like to change about themselves. And I feel like that's almost gone the opposite way, where it's kind of like
correction.
Yeah, like you are allowed to sit there and say, I actually like don't like how this looks today, or I don't know if I like that style of clothing on me. You're allowed to say that. But I feel like with this whole like self-love, like, because we do it as well, we're always like, you need to put yourself first, like things like this, but it's unrealistic as like social human beings to like purely do things because you 100% want to do it yourself without any external information whatsoever.
Yeah, because like for instance, there's some clothes where I'm like, I'll put it on and then I'll just be like to you, like, I don't mean this like that negatively, but it doesn't suit my body. I would rather put something on that suits my body more. And there is a little bit of like give and take with that. It's like I genuinely feel more confident in it. The world would probably also see that, not necessarily just perceive me as more attractive, but see me as more confident.
Yeah, more happy.
And then to me, confidence and happiness is attractive from my mindset. But I think there is this real like taboo to be like, I want other people to find me desirable. I think I will achieve more and get further in my goals and aspirations if I just look better.
Yeah.
And you are allowed to say that, especially if it comes to, you know, if there's a job interview for a real specific thing, and you're like, I just want to look really good for it. I want them to see me really
look
put together.
The part.
Yeah,
like dressing the part for a job.
I don't know if this is true. I feel like this must be a lie, but I saw this thing and it was like they were interviewing for something to do with Victoria Beckham. Victoria Beckham was the interviewer. This is why I'm like, I don't know if I'm lying.
Victoria Beckham interviewing her staff.
I don't know if it could have been for like modelling or just something. And there was one girl that was in like flats or something, and then this girl was like, I just wanted to really look the best. I put on my like stiletto heels. And Victoria Beckham knew the heels and was like, you're dressed really well, and she ended up getting it.
Yeah.
So it's like, so that if you know the steps that looking better can get you.
Yeah.
And it kind of is playing the system a little bit.
I also don't think it's necessarily like looking better. I think like we're saying in this case like pretty and sexy, but I also think like you can want to look professional, you can want to look older. Like sometimes when I'm at work, I try not to dress super young because I know that no one will listen to me. Like I know that if I'm trying to kick someone out of a building, they will not do it.
That's what I mean, if it's going to get you further.
Yeah, like, I think this is just one case study, but I think we can apply it further. And I think that's why I'm on the more, like, it's okay side, because you do different things to different scenarios. I think the problem, as you were saying earlier, I think the problem arises when you're doing it primarily or majority for external factors. I think, for example, let's take this Victoria Beckham example. So, say you were going for an interview with Victoria Beckham, you wear the shoes that you think she'd like, but as a whole, you've made up the outfit of things you already own, and you still feel good in what you're wearing, and it's still something true to yourself, but you've just kind of
dialed it up.
Yeah, or
enhanced,
like just bent it a little bit to suit her style.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's a problem. However, if you were to go to this interview, I feel like interviews are a bit different, but for the example, if you would go to this interview and you bought all new things just because she's worn them before, you get the job, you're then stuck to keep that up.
Yeah.
And then you are living a life where you're primarily living just for Victoria Beckham.
And you just become David Beckham, who primarily lives for Victoria Beckham. But I think, going back to the, like, less interview sense, because the person said, like, pretty and sexy. Yeah. So I'm assuming that's a bit more like day-to-day life. If you're genuine, like, to the core, you just want to be like, I just feel brave in saying that, like, if I can do my bit, people will see me in a certain way. If I look pretty, they'll talk to me more. And then it feeds my soul. It gives me the confidence. And it genuinely does improve my life. Like, I just keep coming back to the thought of, like, why not? If it's not hurting your self-perception and, like, you're not living for other people. But it is the moment that it becomes a bit performative and then it does slip from a want to a need.
Yeah.
Then I feel like you have to stop and think, like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
It's a little bit, why do you feel like you're performing?
Yeah.
What are you, not that you're lacking anything. I don't feel like, I wouldn't say that you'd be lacking anything for thinking that. A lot of people think it all the time. Like, that is just life, but you have to think, like, what is now pressuring you? What do you feel like you're lacking that you have to keep up this pretense, or you have to look sexy all the time? Like, what is calling that from you?
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the time it's rooted in societal structures, and especially, like, patriarchal ideals. And I think it is hard to take yourself out of that situation when it's, especially, like, if you're around our age. Like, I know that people are now trying not to do that in upbringing people, but I feel like when it's all you've known is that you have to look pretty and you have to look feminine, I think it's hard to then take yourself out of that situation and be like, but what if I don't want to look like that? Or, like, what if I want to do this instead? And I think it's kind of aligning your own personal preference in, like, I think this is pretty, even if wider society does not, then that's what it means to me. Because at the end of the day, you're using these two words, but, like, what actually is it?
Yeah, like, if you're
like, what actually do those mean?
If you're going out, and sexy to some might be, like, wearing not all that much, but it could also just be, like, the banging outfit that you've put together. Might be the most layered up thing ever with a big hat and a big coat, but you're like, I feel so sexy, I want to go out feeling sexy every day. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's, I want to go out so people think I'm sexy. I want to go out in the outfit that people will then look at me and be like, oh yeah, she's sexy. And I realise I'm saying that word a bit too much now. It's making me feel a little bit sick inside. But okay, pretty. If it's like you've done this eyeliner and this, like, really intricate looking, you're like, I feel so pretty, I'm going to go out. If people look at me and think I'm pretty, that's just going to enhance the glow that I already feel. But if you're doing something that so comes, like, unnatural to you, beyond, I'm going to try something new, because that's also fine. If you really do want to, if you're not all there in your personal style yet, you can do the things you need to explore to get there. But if it's something so beyond that you might have even said to yourself, like, that's a boundary, I don't feel comfortable in that. But then it comes to the point where you're like, but other people will think I'm pretty if I do that. Like, I wouldn't particularly go out in like a spaghetti strap bodycon dress. That's not even my style, so of course I wouldn't. But if I was like, no, I think today people might think I'm prettier if I do that, then I'd have to be like, what's giving me that pull that I feel like I have to do that?
Sometimes it's annoying to have to take time on yourself, really reflect on these things and kind of rework thought patterns. I think it's really annoying because it tends to be something that is out of your control that you feel that way, but I think it's something that can come eventually and naturally. I think a lot of the time it does come with like emotional maturity, because like I'm sure we've been in situations where we've dressed and presented ourselves in a way that we wouldn't personally do now.
I mean, like clubbing,
like when we first met each other, we weren't really dressing like how we are now, and that's not necessarily just from trends, but I think it's just you're young and you're just kind of told like, this is what you wear for this occasion and this is what you wear for that.
You're impressionable that like you change your like aesthetic and look for the scenario, not questioning, is that scenario for me?
Yeah, and then I think as you grow up, you start to think, well, like, I don't want to wear that. Like, I don't like wearing that. And I think with that, you kind of realise how much more satisfying it is to dress in a way that pleases yourself.
It's like what we were saying in previous episodes. Like, I remember us talking about this like months ago, but it's like dopamine dressing. If you're dopamine dressing and it's for you, but you just have the added like glow of confidence after, and then you end up getting more compliments because of that, and then you're like, wow, I'm really dressing for me, and now I'm getting all of this like attention because like I'm wearing the colours that really make me like pop and thrive. But if you're, I don't know what the opposite of dopamine dressing is, but just externally, I guess trend cycles, you can like trends, but if you're just doing it for the sake of what's popular and then likely to get you that attention, like I'm not judging you for wanting that external validation, because we've all been there at points. It's once you realise that in yourself, if that is the case, like what can you do to kind of turn things back around? And I do think it is kind of, you don't have to make a binary list, but starting over time to realise the things that how you can present yourself that make you happy and feel natural, and then the things that are just unnatural to your soul. Because I feel like you must know, like, if I put something on of yours that really just didn't fit my soul, but I was just doing it to like kind of be like you, then
it's like those TikTok trends where it's like, guess who styles whose, and both outfits fit the people, but it's just there's just something about, like, you can tell when someone's outfit is theirs. Like, I think that's a really prime example.
You can always tell.
Well, sometimes you can't.
Right, well, yeah. You know, I saw this one where it was like
4 people.
No, they all look like it fit.
Because all the trousers fit.
No, I saw this one. It was like, guess which way round is like the mask, and then is the femme, and then they both put this same khaki dress on. I tell you, for one, I could not tell who was supposed to be in that dress, like who owned that dress. I must have watched it like 10 times, and I was like, I feel like a disappointment for not being able to figure it out. And all the comments were like, what? So it wasn't just me. It wasn't a disappointment. But yeah, I think you can break boundaries. You can go out of your comfort zone in a good way. But if you're going out there out of your comfort zone, you're actually like, no, I can only say I've had a good day if I've got the outside opinion to legitimize what I'm wearing. Then like I don't know if that's like beneficial to you in the long run.
Yeah, I think my final. Well, actually, I know my final point is. I don't know why I'm thinking.
You back yourself, babe.
I know. Like with the previous chapter, ultimately, when you're wearing what you want, and when you're doing what you want, and you're talking about what you want, you will attract people that find that pretty and they find that interesting and sexy. Yeah, I feel like if you're it's the same thing as we were saying with the previous question. If you're around people that are saying that the outfits that you like aren't pretty, you're around the wrong people. Because sometimes Eliz will come out in something that I wouldn't personally wear, but I don't think she looks ugly. Because like, it's what you want to wear and it suits you because you want to wear it.
If you were to turn around, because you need people to support you as well, like if you were to turn around and be like, ugly.
I'll go.
Okay. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like I just think that it's hard to do, but I think if you just do and wear what you want to wear, the right people will come. And you don't want people around who only like you because you're in like a bodycon spaghetti strap dress.
You might really like bodycon spaghetti strap dresses.
It's just not us.
It might be the exact opposite where you're like, I hate wearing oversized stuff.
Like, Lilyemma, why are you in that damn puffy dress?
Yeah, like, if you know, like the Adam Sandler vibe, I really like to dress to that. And that has actually become like, the jorts are very in, very like Billie Eilish, more like tomboy look, is very trendy right now. Bless up. But, to people that don't dress like that, they might be like, for God's sake, why has that come in? Like, I love skinny jeans, but then stick with that then.
Yeah.
You feel sexy in that, you go ahead. But if you're like, well, now all the people online are only going to think I look pretty and sexy if I look like Billie Eilish, so now I've got to find like XL everything and just like swan about in it. It's easier said than done to be like,
break the curve.
Yeah, just if you feel pretty, then you are. Because I did actually put, you are pretty, you are sexy, even if the look doesn't match up to what you think it should. And like, even if you don't go out one day and you're not told, like most of the time, if not all the time, like I'm not saying like every single day, but most of the time I'll go out, no one's there being like, you look really nice, like you look really pretty today, or like, you're sexy. Like I don't think I would enjoy being told that. But like most of the time I don't go out with and then come back into the house feeling validated by what I'm wearing. But it's, I've validated myself and I've backed myself. I'm wearing pajama bottoms right now, but yeah, I'm gonna wear them out the house. I like it. I think it looks like, maybe not pretty, but I think it looks like, a bit like swagger. I feel like I have a bit of swagger to my Jagger right now with that, and like, so I feel good because that's because I've worked on this for years to get to a place where I feel comfortable in like how I look going out. Yeah. And it's not linear. You can have days where you're like, I just really want to look like nice. It's even like sometimes I'll go to work and I use this phrase a lot, but I just need to like get a life, or like if I'm there 5 days a week, I should probably put makeup on at some point to look nice and presentable. And that is something similar to this question. I didn't write this question in, but it's very similar of like wearing makeup to work. I want to look pretty, but it's a give and take of I want to look and feel presentable, and then if people think I look nice as well, that's just a bonus.
I always wear makeup to work because I just feel like I'm more switched on.
You're more like alert when you have makeup on. But like,
but some people aren't. Some people are like, well, can't focus at all.
Can't touch my face.
I focus more when I've got makeup on. So.
But like, if people don't tell you, I think I tell you most days you look nice. Like, I give you like a positive thing the days I see you a lot of time.
My workplace is very much like complimentary, like not even in like a big-headed way, but like because like we don't wear uniform. I go to work and everyone's always like, oh, nice outfit today, and I'm like, thanks guys. And also like not to inflate your ego even more, but I'll tell you as a friend, she always looks nice, so it's hard to like no one can actually turn around and be like, you're ugly, because you never will look ugly. Like, you're ugly. Catch me in the comments, be like, psych. I'll go. JK. But I do feel like it is just, once you find what you like and you kind of curate a wardrobe and a look that you like, that is when you'll have people around you who compliment you because it's what suits you and what makes you happy suits you, and people will appreciate that. You do look nice. Yeah, you guys are pretty nice today.
Wow, you look really nice. No way.
God, that's gonna be a Tom Holland interview. Let me just go get him for you.
What does he even say? like, hey, how are... people listening on Spotify being like, what are you on about? I'm looking you in the eyes. If you can't see us, Pov, I'm looking directly in your eyes.
She
and
just
they
got
look
really
good.
close to you guys.
Like
checked you out.
You look really nice today.
Are you trying to be Renee Rapp?
Why can't I just be a Liz? Well, it's always, you're just like Tom Holland. You're just like Renee Rapp. What about
Is it
Liz?
like
Niall's possible girlfriend. Is that what you mean, or something else? What do you mean?
I meant the Marina song.
Oh, actually, Eliz. No,
Actually,
I was
Eliz.
thinking, you know that Ariana thing where she did an interview and then she's like, I'm not big sure that I'm not Niall's possible girlfriend.
I'm not Tom Holland. I'm not Renee Rapp. I'm Liz. And I'd like to be asked some questions about that. Is that what you said?
Yeah, something like that. Or she made such a big deal and then that interview never went live. So now she just has that like slay thing of her. Oh, I wish I knew it off by heart because I used to.
Yeah. Well, what a note to
Sorry,
end
Anna.
on. Just be yourself, guys, and people will like that.
I
feel like it's scary to do that, but
yeah. I said just live for you. Like, even like, again, it's one of those things where it's like pretty and sexy. Yeah, it's one of those things. Underlying, you probably will think about a lot, but hopefully, if there are things that bother you, you can at least get to the point where they don't come top of the list of what you think about every day. Before you leave the house, you're thinking, where am I going? What am I doing? Who am I seeing? And then after, it'll be like, do I look nice? And hopefully you can look in the mirror and think, yes. And if you know you're about to walk into a situation with a group of friends or a partner that's going to turn around and be like, that's not how I wanted you to look, get out. Like, that's not, like, if I thought that whatever I put on in my room, I was a bit nervous to walk into you,
and I would be like, I'm not leaving the house, are you looking like that?
I'd love to hear you try and say that to me. Like,
I'll do it later. Oh no, actually, that's a lie. Eliz tried to wear a Lana Del Rey t-shirt to the 1975 and I actually told her, like, you can't do that, like, you actually can't wear that. That was one of the few times I was like...
But I would.
I can't go there with you if you're on a Lana Del Rey t-shirt.
Well, I know what I'm wearing tonight then, to the 1975 concert. Live for yourself, not for what your podcast co-host is telling you. Live, laugh, Lana.
Thanks for watching,
Yeah,
guys.
this has been a really fun episode.
We're going to go argue.
She's going to go burn my Lana t-shirt. There's actually some Billie Eilish t-shirts on Urban Outfitters.
Wear that tonight.
I sent you one the other week, but there's another one as well, and I don't understand how they're getting the permission to keep doing this. It's not my place.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. I really hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
If you had all the best time ever and think we're not boring, then you can either subscribe...
Like the first question found dead in the ditch. Like, if you don't think we're boring.
If you think we're actually quite fun, all the facts we've been saying are just really good, subscribe to us if you're on YouTube, follow us if you're on one of the streaming services, rate us 5-star, comment, let us know what makes you feel pretty and fun, and I don't know, what's something that you don't find boring, you don't care if other people think it is, like that's your little niche thing that you know a lot about.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Just share this to
someone who you think is pretty.
Aww.
And it can't be us.
I think everyone's starting to send it to me. They all think I'm pretty, so I just got a million messages.
I'm glad someone does.
Oh, is it? Oh. Not Renee Rapp anymore, am I?
I never said you look like that. I was tripped up.
I don't think I look like her, it's fine. Anyway, have a nice day.
Have a nice day, guys. We'll be back
month.
next week with Platinum Mixtape for our Spotify users, and then back the week after with another Champagne Whispers.
See ya. Love ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.